Sean, you want to lead us?
Yes, pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Those present, Darrell Baker, County Clerk, Charles Vance, President, Phoebe Harvest, Commissioner, K.K. Matthews, Commissioner. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular session of Lincoln County Commission meeting that was held on August 3rd, 2017 at 6 o'clock.
I'll second that.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, next we're going to go to public comment. I'm going to, first on the, I'm going to get the ones that signed in after we go through the this first part here. I'm going to ask the representatives of the Supreme Court, whoever wants to speak, to talk with us about the annex over there.
Yes, sir. Well, my name's Arthur Angus. I'm Director of Court Security for the Supreme Court. And y'all, I guess you purchased this building up here a few years ago. We've looked at it several times and looked to move the magistrates over there and the family court judge. The magistrates are working out of offices. It's not, two of them together is not as big as where these benches are. They have to have their hearings in their office. They don't have a courtroom. We'd like to move them over there and give them a nice courtroom about the size of this. We move the family court over there, give him the same size or bigger. We could put the case coordinators and assistants with the family court, and we'll make it secure for them, so they'll have a secured work area. We have to come up with a floor plan, but we've done that in the past in several counties. One thing I can tell you is I'm a member of the Court Security Grant Board. We give money away, award money to applicants every year. And, I'm sure if Lincoln County applied for a court security grant, they would get probably enough to do to secure it. Family court, as far as the facilities go, there's a courthouse facilities board. And I've already talked to Melissa Smith up there, and she's over that board. And she says that they would like to give Lincoln County money, but they have to have, and we've given the Supreme Court's given the blessing to them through a letter by Gary Johnson, who's the court administrator. And so if we get that application in and ask, they will give up to $100,000. So I think we could frame up the rooms and stuff, because that's a nice facility over there. And but that's the only thing we can do is we can help with the applications. And of course we pay rent to the county, square footage for family court. Magistrate court tends to do tickets and so what they get from it. But we just wanted the court wanted to know that we're in favor of the move and would be happy to help you in any way we can. But just through these grants, it's about the only way we can help. Yes, ma'am.
Is there a match with those grants?
There's no match with the security grant. I mean, if we give you $50,000, we just give you $50,000. You got to spend it, then you get reimbursed. With the courthouse facilities, what do you say, Mary?
It's 20% match.
There's 20%.
100,000 is the maximum on it.
Yeah. So if you got $100,000, you're gonna have to pay 20, right?
Right.
So, and I know in all the counties, there's a lot of counties in this state are, financially, bend all of them, but the magistrate's been working out of those two little offices up there ever since, and I've been with the court for 20 years, and I've been to all the courthouses at least once a year, and they're the only, I can't even think of another county that's got, that the magistrates have court in their offices. They all got courtrooms. And so, I mean, they need something.
I've talked with a couple of people about this in the past couple of weeks. I was under the impression there was the grant you're talking about for security. Then there was other monies the Supreme Court had besides the courthouse facilities grant. Is
No,
there?
no, we don't have any other money.
Because we've applied for the courthouse facilities grant for the last 2 years.
But I just talked to Melissa, and she said she has to have a plan. They have to have a plan. They have to have something from the county commission and the county that says, we're gonna do this. And she said, you just can't, they have to have some kind of written plan with the application and some kind of structured something that we're gonna move, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And they have to have a blessing from the court. Whenever they hadn't told us that. And I just talked to them, and they said if the Supreme Court says that they will give their blessing for them to move, and they get an application that's structured, that tells them what y'all gonna do, what you wanna do. She said, we wanna give them money. What she told me, she said, we wanna give them money.
Okay, that is, the courthouse facilities grant's due in October.
October the
Is this-
6th.
Okay, is this a security grant you're talking about?
We don't send out the applications till the 1st of January, and then, they're due back in like in March or April, and our board meets sometime in May, and we award the grant money, and it's awarded in July, first day of July. And it's good for a year, so you have to spend it within the fiscal year, July to June. And y'all wouldn't be ready to move in there anyway, or for any kind of security, even if, they give you something, in a month or two, you wouldn't be ready, I wouldn't think. But I think, because we haven't given Lincoln County a whole lot of money on anything, but the grant money, we used to get $1 million, that's when the coal mines was running. We get between $800,000 and $1 million a year, and we get probably 31 counties ask us for probably $3 million, so we had to cut it. This year, we only had $550,000, and we had 20 counties, and we had, 4 or 5 counties didn't get anything, but it was bigger counties that's already got real good security, like Kanawha and so forth. But we like to help you out as much as we can, yes ma'am.
Would that include a place for the sheriff's department to arraign people also?
Yeah, we'll have an arraignment room, a video arraignment room for the magistrates. We do them in most courts, and, we'll have conference rooms for the attorneys to meet with their clients. We have 2 of those. We'd have 2 waiting rooms to separate the litigants, especially in family court. We would separate the family court because, it's bad. It's all bad. Magistrate court, family court is the most dangerous courts in the state. And, because, somebody's being arrested, magistrate court, family court, everybody's losing. So, yeah, we have, standards. They've gotta have so many square feet in each room and so forth. And we got standards for two separate waiting rooms and so forth. And that's why we go there and try to figure out a floor plan to separate everything.
Exactly.
We might even have to put the magistrates on the second floor over there and the family court on the first, but we have to look at it.
When you say courthouse security, you're not talking about bailiffs, that type of thing. You get the Supreme Court offer any kind of
No.
grants or anything for bailiffs?
No, it's only for equipment. That grant says you can, but we, in 1997, when we got it, we decided we couldn't do that because that's only a yearly grant, then you lose it, and then you're out of bailiff, plus you got to pay insurance and all that stuff, so we can't do it. It's too much money. But it's just for equipment.
There was some question that, when I talked to Judge Hope last week, concerning the fact that public defenders are over there, and there may be a conflict of interest. Are you aware of anything?
No, I mean, I think I said something to that effect, because we try to keep public defenders and prosecutors out of the courthouses, because of appearance. But we can fix it so that the public will come in on a different floor. They won't be on the same floor. They're in the basement. And we can secure that off so that that's not bad.
Yeah, we have it down to where they can't access the rest of the building. and
Yeah,
things
well,
like
that's good. So, just so they're not walking out of the same conference rooms together when they go into the courtroom, that's that doesn't look good.
I guess my question, is with, I know we gotta figure out how much it's gonna cost us, because we don't really know yet. And, we know we don't have, we have very little money.
Right.
And with the, security part not gonna be enacted until, we're not seeing any monies till June or July, is there, you feel we ought to go ahead and apply for the structural part of it and hope that we get to
Yes.
security?
Yeah.
You know, and I guess, my question's related to bailiffs and things like that. Would we have to have additional bailiffs over there?
See, that's the thing about what we was talking about there a while ago, and you said you might wanna stay here. That means twice security. I mean, the bailiff here, bailiff over there. You don't have to send a bailiff with magistrates unless they request it. They don't have one now. I mean, they got a police officer here in the courthouse that'll go up there if something happens, but they're close enough here that if something happens, they can hit a panic button, deputy, or somebody could be over there in a few seconds. That's the reason why we can't really feasibly, I'm not talking for the Supreme Court, I'm talking for myself, that, and money-wise, and personnel-wise, that you could split them up, because, and plus, we will, you're gonna have to put the computers or stuff in there, and then, and all the technical stuff. I think we may supply some of that, I don't know, but we don't supply the wiring and all that stuff, I don't think, so, you just about have to keep them together.
Because I think what we need to do is we need to have some kind of an idea of the cost analysis of what we're talking about doing and what it potentially would cost the county to be able to move forward on it. I know that the deadline's October the 6th to 8th or something like that. And I don't have a problem with going ahead with things, but I don't really feel that without knowing exactly what it's going to cost us, not only the cost of construction, but also if additional personnel would be needed and things like that, we have to iron that out to determine exactly what the cost of operation would be too. Because I know when we went through the original plans on the annex over there, there was a lot of expense with wiring and things like that. It was a lot more expensive than I thought when we were getting into it and things. So I think we would have to know for sure that, you know, what we're getting involved with, and, you know, maybe have some, I don't know if the Supreme Court or those people that determine that could give us a letter of encouragement or whatever, saying they would provide security if we did it. You know, I know Supreme Court's, what, over $6 million in the red right now or something like that. I mean, and I just, you know, I'm just afraid, you know, that we put the monies into it, we're gonna have to staff it, or we're gonna have to have all this other stuff, the security part of it there.
Well, I mean, we only supply through the grant security money for equipment,
Right.
no personnel.
Right. Well, that's why I say we have to determine how much additional cost that would be for the county.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I got the floor plans. I'm gonna go back tomorrow and I'm gonna sit down with Kim Ellis, and she's over the services for the court as far as facilities go and stuff, and we're gonna look at it, and I'm gonna see if we can come up, she's got a thing on her computer that, and we can try to come up with a floor plan pretty quick, and then we'll look, y'all, you know, of course, y'all have to approve it, and we all have to approve it. And then, I think if you could get a local contractor or somebody that you could just say, you know, if we have to put a wall up here and we have to put a drop ceiling in and this stuff, how much do you think the ballpark figure this is gonna cost? And then, of course, you gotta bid it out once you get the money. You may have to come up with some kind of bids before, with that application.
No, I don't think I've done the bid before.
You don't? Okay.
I think it'd be one of the things we want to know, but get
Yeah.
some
Sure.
idea.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
he's
yeah,
talking like the three of the
if, you know, contractor says you can put the walls up and ceiling, drop ceiling, whatever, and all that stuff for $100,000, then, you know, it's paid for. Or-
Is this something, because 100,000 is the max on that.
That's all they'll do for one project.
Right. If we, say we apply in October, we find out the first of the year we get it. So we
Right.
have that 100,000 secure.
Right.
Then we apply for your security grant, no, in July. we
Yeah.
get- Could, I mean, I don't know if 100,000 is gonna do it.
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
could we could we make this a couple years, apply again next year, or once we get this security thing, you said we had a year to,
The security, you'll
I
be,
just-
you'll be all right with security. You'll probably, if you get $50,000, that'd be enough for the security, as far as equipment and stuff goes. Now, I don't think they'll let you hold on to that money and wait for another
Could we do it
year.
in phases, I guess is what, like,
What-
can we spend the 100, get as far as we?
What she's
can?
saying is that can they spend that money and reapply?
Yeah, spend it. Yeah, you
Yeah.
could spend it and
But,
reapply.
like, I'm just worried that 100's not gonna do
I mean,
it. We don't have an
have you,
elevator.
has Melissa said anything to you about reapplying? Do they
She's
give?
never said anything to me.
And she,
but
I
we had-
I never even asked her that question.
Yeah, the largest project we've done was the roof, and we completed it in the grant cycle. So,
What did it cost to do the roof?
Total, like probably about 120, it's probably 100 and we put in 20, but that was back in 14 when we had more money, so.
So basically what, you want to say?
Well, I think what we need to do is, because we've applied for the facilities grant for 7 years. And I think what we need to do is, if we could get a good plan together, and do what we need to do to get the magistrates over there, then we could start getting a reimbursement for that, and we could start, accumulating a little bit of money when we could do extra things.
I brought that question up in back there, and we don't get monies from magistrates.
But we can.
You get rent.
No, we
You-
had
you-
to.
you don't get
The
rent.
monies you get for the magistrates come from local funds, from what they
And
charge
it's
out
from,
fines and
it's from
things like
tickets.
Right.
that.
You know, about $6,000 a year is all you're gonna get for the magistrate space here, there, where.
I was going to.
But you said you didn't-
got
you
reimbursed
all
for
pay
that.
Family
to the
court.
county for the facilities.
Right.
No. If I said that, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I said, when we pay
Well, see,
square
that's-
footage, we pay like $6 a square foot for family court.
Oh, okay,
I don't know what it is, could be 6, could be 8,
Okay.
but say we pay $6 a square foot, well, if we're paying $6 a square foot here, we're not paying much, because there's not much square footage.
Right.
It's gonna triple over there.
Sure.
Yeah,
It doesn't need to, but if it does, we'll pay the square footage, so that means there's gonna be an increase in the rent, so-called rent.
I was under the impression, from what I've been told, is I guess I got confused. I guess it's the family court is what we would get the award for reimbursement.
You get money, square footage
Square
money.
footage.
Yeah.
You're already getting the max.
You are,
So
That's
we
square-
would, we would not increase our income.
no,
by
yeah,
moving over that.
you're getting the maximum square foot,
Right.
per square foot, but the
You
square
get more
footage is
footage.
gonna increase over there.
Right.
So you got, say you got 200 square feet here, at $6, we might give you 500 over there if it works out, and then you're gonna get $6 for 500 square feet a month. You, like I say, magistrates, you're only gonna get $6,000 a year, and that's what you're getting upstairs anyway.
Instead of area, can y'all do it in volume?
Do what?
Nobody got that yet.
You know,
Let's,
I think if, and the reason why you say you've applied for that courthouse facilities grant, you haven't gotten it, because when I talked to Melissa, she said, we wanna give them money, we have to have a plan. And before we've gotten applications or something, we don't have, they didn't really say what they was gonna do, but they wanted to do something over there. They have to have a specific plan and say, we're gonna do this. And we've already given them a letter, sent them a letter saying, we support the move.
Well, I think in the, because we have quite an intricate plan that's already been drawn up
Yeah.
and things, and what we were told was because nobody was over there, we couldn't get monies over there. So that was really the impetus on us trying to go ahead and get the public defenders over there.
Yeah.
And they're paying the lease on their part too and everything. And that's kind of what we were looking at with that, but now, I really think, number one, I think we need, and I understand the comments you made about our family law judge as far as his participation in things, but I think we need to send the law judge a letter asking for his comments concerning this move.
The move, yeah.
And that way we can have him on record as far as what he wants to do about it. Because I have no problem if we can put that over there and we can afford it.
Yeah.
And not only affording building it, but also affording and supporting it while it's over there.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and we've got to look at those numbers, so You've got the plans there
I
to
got the
take back
plans here, I'm
things.
going.
What I think we might want to do is just put this on the agenda for the next meeting, because that'd be prior to the date, and get everything ready to submit the grant request.
Yes.
And if the commission decides, in looking at the numbers, and after talking with the family law judge, they decide to go ahead with it, then we could go ahead and do it then. And then I think we all here heard him say that we'd get the security part of it if we did the other, so.
I mean, I can't swear to it, I can't vote, but.
And I think even Josh might have.
I think we'll get some money.
But we appreciate you all coming down and helping us with this, and we look forward to trying to work something out with you guys. Because I do agree with what the comments that were made about the magistrates.
And if you need anything, any more information, anything like that, just call me. Mary's got my number, and we'll start working on this probably Monday
Okay.
and see what we can come up with, and then I'll bring it back down. We'll look at it.
Do either commissioners have anything else? Okay, we appreciate you guys
Okay,
coming
thank
down.
You want me to, you need me to say anything?
If you want to, Josh.
No, I don't want to.
I didn't think he was running for anything.
No, I'm not running for anything. My boss might be. Running for the county line. I go through 2 counties.
Thanks a lot, guys, appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let's see, do we have this on the public comment for this?
I don't think they're here. I don't see anybody else from them.
All right, I'm gonna go to the people that signed in that aren't on the agenda for public comment. Barb McComas?
Who is she? Do y'all know?
Oh, yeah, we know you will,
Sweet
Barb.
lady down the Lower Mud River.
I just want to ask you some questions, okay? I'd like to know what this means. Did you tell me anything that's got to do with the water? I can't see well. They're about to put me blind in a cataract operation.
You know what this is, Mary?
I think it's the public service.
It says a final thing on it.
It is from the PSC,
This is the public service.
Get them off the internet.
Well, I mean, we don't get a copy sent to us or anything.
There's a, you get all kinds of stuff off of the internet. I wanna ask y'all something. How come that y'all, canceled our water and went someplace else? There it is. Okay, there's 3 pages of it. Y'all canceled our water twice and went someplace else. And you amended it. Now you've amended again, and all those old papers, y'all put 17 on them. And you told me water was gonna start in March, and y'all hadn't even done none of that stuff then.
Now, the reason the water didn't start in March, I think we went through this before, is that the people in Philadelphia decided we couldn't put it through without having a waiver to one of their rules, and then we got the waiver
Yeah,
set
I
aside.
called
so
it that
anyway.
way.
And I don't know if they told you or not, but we signed the notice of intent to bid for that small cities block grant money for the Lower Mud River project.
You said you already had all the funding.
This is all, we have all the funding. All this is to set it out for bid.
Read that.
Yeah. Said bids opening will be held on September 13th. That's next week, I guess. And contracts are expected to be awarded on or before December 14th.
All right, now the bids, what's that, that's the bid out the,
That's the company, what we do, we tell them, we've got this job to do, we require this, and what the different companies do is give these people bids of what they'll do it for.
well, from what I see in a bunch of papers that we got, it says that all that stuff has been done like April, May, June of this year. That
No.
we go with the same old people now.
Yeah, that's not true. I mean, that's.
Why would they put lines on there?
Well, I don't know, but this was not, there was no notice of intent to bid until I signed it, and we're approving it tonight. That was the first notice bid. They have to have all the monies together, they have to have all the environmental clearances, and all these people have had.
They're using that, all, a lot of that old stuff now, it's in the book, I can bring it and show you now, they've updated that.
Yeah.
Well, whenever, you remember the stuff that went down in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
when you had that?
Well, that's over with.
That's over with, but just like the paperwork that you just showed me, that's paperwork from the Lincoln Public Service District. I didn't, but allow me to finish. And what happens is, whenever there was a hole, you know, they were planning on trying to bid in the spring. They had to put a hold on it, so what they did was, and I've seen this a lot with Lincoln PSD, they'll use the same, you know, you'll see a lot of the same stuff, the same wording, and a lot of times they change the dates. And I saw that with the Alcoa Woodville project, but it's knowing that the funding is here, and that the bids are gonna go out, the Lincoln Public Service District takes care of that. And then they'll
Lincoln Public,
Service District, they're the ones
would
that,
that be the water
the
company?
water company, yes.
Okay, now, you know we've got 2, 3, when it comes out in the newspaper, that stuff has to come out in the newspaper. That, you can go on that, and you can go on internet with this for a while, and you can get all this stuff off, every bit of this. Both, all about the Little Mud River water, we've got off. And a lot of that stuff, way back in '09, our water was canceled, and then it was amended, and then the next one, it went down, one of them went down to the 911 center, come back, they said the water company, it's all in this stuff. Then it went out towards Griffithsville, up that way. It's all right here, right there. All right, now why was our water amended twice and then come on down?
I think those documents are from the Lincoln PSD, what she's referring to.
Yeah, but y'all signed the papers too for it to do that.
But that's what I'm saying, I don't know, what I can say, Barb, is the funding for the water that's coming to your house has already been secured. We are going through the steps we went with every other projects prior to your project. We went through those same steps this time, and all we're waiting on is somebody to give us a bid and them approve it, then they decide on when they start, but everything's there.
Well, how come it ain't already started getting bidded then?
Well, as you know, we were going to start in the spring, but we got held up in Philadelphia with HUD, requiring a
Well,
waiver.
really and truly, that could have been done real easy.
This is yours then?
Yes.
And this says that the Public Service Commission in Charleston has to sign off on these before projects, before it can go out to bid. And they signed off on it the 27th of August. So they just approved it to be released.
And then tonight, we're going, I've already signed the form, but we're going to get approval for me to do that, so they can go out for bids. We had to have it in a timely manner, so I went ahead and signed it. Not to hold anything up, you know.
Because in those papers, it shows we're way back on when it's supposed to come down the Little Mud River. Everybody got, the engineer had signed, Robertson, all that was fixed, ready to go. Well, then, it was canceled.
See, I don't know the particular time you're talking about.
Because some of
but I
that
can-
stuff's
but I can
got
tell
your
you-
name and McCann's name on
Right,
it first.
right. Well, and like I say, I don't know exactly the particular documents you're talking about.
Well, I can bring them and show you.
And I could, but it's not gonna affect you getting water.
Well, listen,
It's not, nothing's
we
gonna hold
got
that
to
water
have
up.
water.
I know
That's
that,
all
I know that.
All right, now let me ask you something else. Remember you telling me the next time water was gonna go in Lincoln County, it would be, no water would go in Lincoln County, not unless it come down Little Mud River. You told me that.
And when was that? I don't know.
One of the meetings, like last meeting, I believe it was.
Well, and we're not putting water anywhere else. that I
What
know.
about up Horse Creek and up that way?
That's
I
Boone
know
County.
that's
That's
Boone
Boone
County.
County PSD and Boone County Commission.
I-
Nothing in Lincoln County?
Well, it may be in Lincoln,
Well,
but that's Boone County's project. I promise I just talked to the
That's Boone
PSD this
County's
week.
project.
They were complaining about traffic over there, and I called
And that's
Lincoln.
Boone County, that's where it's at.
Correct.
Lincoln don't have nothing to do with it.
Well, some houses in Lincoln may get it, but it's a Boone County project. They had to get approval to get those houses, but that's not, it has nothing to do with the Lincoln County Commission or the Lincoln PSD. It's all Boone County.
And you promised me.
I
that.
promise you,
That's-
Barbara.
And the monies for the lower Mud River Phase One are approved, that takes care of you. The next amount of monies we get, we're applying for a grant for Phase Two of that project.
Well, you know what, why can't you, go ahead, why can't you? You know, y'all, this like to talk about, I called Caperton's office, and I told him, I said, hey, if she can commit herself to tears in Lincoln County, she can commit herself to us getting water down Lower Mud River. And I'm waiting on a call back from him, cause water, I mean, I know everybody needs tears, but water, you know what, our water is so bad, all we can do is flush a commode with it. Look at him, he is absolutely sick, 83 years old, and has to pull water up with a rope and a, cause we live at 13 steps. There's no reason for our water being amended that long, you know, 2 times. Why 2 times? Let me tell you why it was. Because they were 94 households down that way, then it said 94 people, the households. And well, it was amended and went up the other way because there's a lot more houses, a lot more. Both times this went at Burger, that second time it went at Burger, up that way, so up in that way. You know I'm telling the truth, don't you?
Oh, I don't doubt, I'm just, you know,
Why is 400 people or 5 more important than us down Little Mud River that this had to be canceled and go up them places?
I don't think, Barb, it's a matter of that.
Well, what is it then?
Well, I mean, because
I
I
said it's
feel,
got
I
to be
feel that
done.
everyone that doesn't have water is just as important as everybody else. And I know when the project was, they got some monies from a settlement from the Department of Environmental Protection for the left fork of the Mud River. I know that happened. They got $1 million settlement from that. And I know that's one of the reasons that the water went over into that area.
Well, it don't matter, our steel was all ready to go. I mean, the papers where everybody signed it was ready to go and it was canceled.
This,
It was in '09 it started, and then they amended that, they canceled that, and then amended, then canceled it again, and then.
what, you know, you go.
They gotta be
even-
an answer for that.
Even more recently, when we had to come up with the additional $200 and some thousand to give Lincoln PSD that they'd already received in federal funding, the reason that this commission did that was to make sure it didn't endanger your project.
Well, you talking about that $262,000 that y'all put on something else or did something
No,
else?
we
with
did
it?
not do anything with it.
What happened to
The
it?
Lincoln Public Service Commission, the Public Service District received that money for grants, and I don't know exactly where it was from, I don't remember the agency to give it, but it was to go ahead with water. They spent it on other things. I don't know what other things they spent it on, but it was up to this commission either to stop the project that went into Bulger and your project, or pay the $262,000
It wasn't gonna come. It's already went up that other way.
It did, but
Yeah, it did.
if that money wasn't given, then you wouldn't have had any federal money, and that other project wouldn't have had any federal money. It was federal monies that was spent,
Well,
and they were gonna cancel.
Why
all
did,
of
see,
them.
why didn't they come our way instead of canceling ours and going up that way?
I
Now,
think
how
it's
does that work?
because the project, the Lower Mud River project, wasn't fully funded. That project was fully funded. If you remember, that project was fully funded, and we were still waiting on money for the Lower
Okay, let
Mud
me
River.
ask you something then. Back in '09, '10 and all that, how could all these papers be signed to be ready to go? The project was ready to go down our way. And it was, I can bring you the paper and show you.
I believe everything that you're saying and I wasn't on the commission at that time. It
I
was
know you
09,
weren't. He
but what I'm
was.
saying is
He
that a lot of times that they will get paperwork ready in anticipation of funding.
It
That's
had
the
already
only-
been awarded to Robertson and them now, it sure was.
See, even the time, even after if this did happen, you know, like you're saying things, if we hadn't have reimbursed the federal people, I mean, for the monies that Lincoln Public Service District misspent, all these projects would go on. Yours would be a year or two more down the road and things of that nature.
You know.
This commission's done everything we can to speed this project up. And your comments concerning Senator Capito's office, you know, she was an integral player in getting that HUD waiver kicked out of the way, so we could go ahead. with
Yes,
this
she was,
project.
because I called them all, I was the one got that out of the way.
But the important part is it's going out to bid next week.
Yeah.
That's the important part.
Yeah, and then, how long is it gonna be, about another year?
I wouldn't suspect, usually what they do if they bid them in, if they award it in December, they start with some wind rates. I mean, that's
So
historical.
this is not gonna start this year, it's gonna go to
I
next
don't
year.
know, I don't know that, that'd be a question you would have to ask the Lincoln PSD.
Is there anything I can do to help or just get out of your way?
You may want to come in here and talk.
I think we're okay, I don't
What
really
deals
know, I mean,
resolved?
we're talking about the water projects now.
Oh, okay.
So-
My people already left?
Yes.
Yeah, the Supreme
Then I
Court.
timed it perfectly.
But I wanna holler at you after we.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
I'll be back.
Okay, no problem, no
Because
problem.
I'm
We're
just
fine
getting
now.
done with hearings.
We're fine now.
Okay, would you write down on here why this has all been held up now then?
There's nothing being held up. We're going as fast as we can.
You know, Dr. Vance, when I come over here, you know, that water was supposed to be hurry up and be put down there. But you know what? When we was told that that water was gonna go down our market, none of those papers had been fixed. There's some of those papers I got at home that this been stamped, some of those old ones, been stamped of this year, June, and July, even some August of this year.
Well, I think that may be in reference to what Commissioner Matthews was talking about, but I can tell you, Barb, every time I hear anything about this water project, anytime anybody talks to me about it, I try my best to hurry him up. I tried to run Rick Roberts down in Field and Stream the other day to try to talk to him.
Has he done all them in the
I didn't get a hold of him. I couldn't find him after I saw him there. But every time I can, and I'm sure the other commissioners tell you the same thing, we are, if we could get out there and dig the line ourselves, we'd do it. But this is the way that the government requires us to apply for these monies.
See, Dr. Vance, our water was supposed to went when the 911 went down through there. But then, y'all, it went down to there, and then it stopped, and we got canceled, and it went up to Griffithsville and all of that. Well, then, in 13 or one of them, it got amended again. And so then, it went and got canceled again, and went to Burger and Alcoa, or whatever it is, all up in there. That's where Mud River is. So they must went somewhere up or on up through there and done it.
It's going out to bid next week.
Write it on the paper.
What was the date?
Hey, just give her a copy.
Just give her a copy.
We're gonna get you a copy of the official letter that we got.
Can I get?
I know, since I've been on the commission, I went up and met with the governor, accepted the small cities block
Yeah, I
grant.
got that, the paper was in there.
Was
Yeah.
$1.5 million. So maybe the funding just wasn't, it wasn't all together in 09 then. Because
No,
No,
that's
that
wrong.
was when it was first supposed to be put down there. That's when it was supposed to be went. See, it's supposed to be, everything done for it to go 2 times and it
We
was
got
canceled.
the architecture and design money from Congressman Ray Hall got that. Now, I don't know what the year that was, but that's when we got the first architecture and design money. And I know that's when the project was originally funded as far as doing the architecture and design.
Well, just tell me one thing. I'll just answer me one question and then I'll leave, and I'll shut up. Why did our water get canceled and it went someplace else? Just tell me
I
why.
can tell you, I didn't cancel it. I don't know
Well,
what
tell me who did.
Well, I wasn't president of the commission at the time.
If I bring them papers over here and next meeting,
I think where you need to address is the Lincoln Public Service District. They're the ones that make those decisions. And
there's,
leaders-
your name's on one, McCann's name's on one.
Well, anything the commission acts upon, one of the commissioners and the president signs, at least one of the commissioners signs it also. So anything that was done at that time.
You have to know what you're signing though, don't
Well,
you?
I agree, and I'm not arguing that. And if I can see a point to what we're talking about that would get you your water sooner, we would do it. But I mean, we.
You know what, I've been coming over here 3 straight years. Every meeting, just about, not very many I've missed. And y'all tired of looking at me and I'm tired of looking at y'all. So all we have to do is get this damn water down. And you know what? I'll just keep it going there and calling. I'm starting all that
That's what I
stuff
do.
again, buddy. I
I
am.
would, call the Lincoln Public Service District.
They're the ones that balls in their
That ain't
court.
nothing but a smart aleck, that man is. That's all he is. He's nothing but a little George and a smart aleck.
Thanks, Mark. Lisa Rainey. Welcome, Lisa.
She brought up I've got some questions, but she brought up a question. Her problem brought up another question. Did I hear you say that you all had to commit $262,000 to that project to get the federal money?
What happened was, when we went to do whatever project was we were doing, I think it was the Bulger project,
Mm-hmm.
there was supposed to be $262,000
Right.
over there that wasn't there.
It was missing, right, from the
Right.
TSD?
They had misspent it or whatever happened with it.
Did anybody get prosecuted?
Well, no.
Was there an
not- not-
investigation into the $262,000 that shows up missing?
I'll tell you
Because
what-
that hurt her, and that hurts my heart for you.
Well, all together with the paper and Jennifer.
Well, but it didn't,
Madison.
with the commission recommitting another $262,000, it didn't stop anything. If we hadn't done that,
Well, if there's money missing, there needs to be some type of investigation.
well, and I will tell you, I
Yes.
would think, and that's not, a regulatory, different people do different things, we don't investigate things.
Oh, I know, but
And-
you could ask them
But
for
we've
it.
asked,
You've asked-
we've asked the FBI, Department of
Okay.
Justice, we've asked, in
Okay.
fact, one of the,
Well, thank you for
one of
asking.
the current, people on that board over there, I personally spoke to and asked him to find out what happened to him.
Did anybody do an audit?
Actually, I sent a letter.
Thank you.
I wrote a letter to the prosecutor, Southern West Virginia federal prosecutor.
Well, don't we
They-
have a prosecutor here?
Well, that was federal money.
Right.
And if it's federal
Oh,
money,
okay.
that's who it goes
Let's go
to.
through him.
So there was a letter written, and I think that there was a follow-up.
I followed up on it when I
I
was.
followed up.
Yeah, and the commission
And they-
approved him to do that, you know what I mean? I
That
mean,
was
this is official, we officially requested an investigation into what happened to the money.
As a matter of fact, I wrote one letter, and then we wanted it on record, and I wrote another letter. So
Well, I
I actually
appreciate
sent
it.
two.
Well, that letter that, we got from y'all, had to what money we had for the water down Roaring River, that's $525,000 was been appropriated too.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Listen, I'm from Harts. We got screwed over too with our water for years. They take the money, they appropriate, it, and then they take it from somewhere, and put it somewhere
Well,
else.
the man
That's the
that they-
truth.
they
I mean, I'm not saying you are. I'm saying the PSDs do it. There's a massive problem in our state with that, and it's sad. I mean, that breaks my heart that y'all have to get your own water. It's wrong.
Well, but I mean, like I'm saying, even though that money was missing, it did not stop the project, because the commission acted to replace that.
But if you hadn't replaced that money,
It
the
stopped.
project would have stopped
Right,
totally.
No, you would've lost all federal money on the alcohol wood
So-
deal and that money.
So I understand why somebody on the federal side don't want to figure out what's going on.
Well, that's a good
You
question.
might wanna call the Southern West Virginia federal prosecutor.
I got a lot of papers I can show
Okay.
you.
All right. Okay, well, that's not what, that just brought that question up, and it really bothers me, so. But I've done some looking up about some statistics. And in our country, according to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, generally, the formula for figuring out how many deputy sheriffs you have is one patrol officer per 1,000 residents. So I also contacted all of our neighboring counties and asked them how many deputies they had. Cabell has 40, Wayne has 11 road officers, Putnam has 50, Kanawha has around 100, Boone has 28, Logan has 20, and I know Logan and Boone got a bigger chunk of the coal severance tax than we did. So I guess my question is, we only have 4 plus a chief deputy, so when do we plan on adding more deputies?
Well, we haven't addressed that to get money to do it. It would be my hope, and I've talked to the sheriff about this, is that, we are involved in a lawsuit now against some big pharmaceutical companies and West Virginia Wood Pharmacy. And it would be, as I told him, it would be my intention if we got any kind of an award from those people to use part of that for law enforcement through the sheriff's office.
And also, 2 of those 4 deputies are defined to bailiff.
Yeah, 2 are here all the time. So like in the area where I live, we have limited coverage with deputies because, and state policemen, because we're out on the far end of the county. So I'm concerned in this day and age, I'm concerned for my sheriff's department's safety. I mean, people are killing cops left and right. And I definitely do not want our deputies or our sheriff to be in a predicament where they would get killed because we don't have adequate staffing. So I would hope that would be a consideration. Also, I wanted to ask, I've read your agenda, and my understanding is are y'all in a hiring freeze? Do we have a hiring freeze for the county commission?
Well, we haven't, what we did in the budget for this fiscal year was not replace those people that had left or hadn't been replaced in the prior fiscal year. We have cut back on people in different offices, including the commission's office.
Okay. I know you cut back on overtime hours, and I see where Mr. Darrell Baker here is requesting 240 overtime hours, and the sheriff's only requesting 10, and I know he's probably working more than that.
The 240 hours for the election.
Okay, but that's still overtime
That's what they
hours.
get
We
reimbursed.
Correct.
get reimbursed for that.
Okay, all right, you don't get reimbursed for the sheriff's overtime hours, okay. And then there was somewhere in here, there's gonna be a hiring for somebody, prosecuting attorney or something?
Yeah, that's the one I guess.
Is that a replaced
He
position?
had one of the secretary left and he replaced him.
Well, okay, the secretary left and, okay, didn't the sheriff's office the sheriff's department secretary, didn't she resign at the end of December? And she's not been replaced?
That was, I think, one of the,
We've never had a request to replace her, have we?
Do you have to have a request? I mean,
Yeah, request, I put in for the secretary on the budget,
You haven't, we haven't got anything.
I hadn't never seen
I don't
that.
understand on the budget.
Well, we'll review that budget request for you and see. But what we did in multiple offices, including circuit clerk, including, I know we didn't replace someone up there that had left that office. Okay, so when that was happening, and she just brought to my attention that when that happened, we had a secretary over here with the deputies that moved back over here when we shut that part down.
so she moved from the sheriff's office over here to the sheriff's office over here?
Yeah.
No, we don't.
No, she
That
quit,
job's
but
gone.
the secretary was when they were over here, and they had 4 staff in there now, and that.
Which was what they were operating on prior to her leaving.
So what is it? I didn't
Yeah,
hear that.
I mean, so we had a secretary, and then they resigned, that was actually over here in the courthouse,
They
correct?
resigned in December.
In December,
Yeah.
yes. And then there was another secretary over here, correct?
No, just one.
So she was the same person?
There was a secretary when they were in the white building, and she resigned in December, I think, maybe, I don't
Okay.
remember exactly, but then they're not in the white building anymore, so they were in that office, so there was 4 staff in there.
So that position should be able to be replaced if he doesn't request.
In the prior years, was there 4 secretaries in there like there are now?
No,
So
They're not
Those
secretaries.
are tax deputies.
Those are tax deputies.
Those aren't
Secretary and tax
secretaries.
deputies are 2 different things.
Yeah.
So the lady resigned in December,
Mhm.
Which would have meant that
and then whenever
the other sheriff that was there prior did not
did not hire
fill that
anybody.
position for those 6 months, right? I mean, is that, or until when the new fiscal year started. So that wasn't filled in either, so. What we did when we did our budget, I know we looked at, people that had, instead of filling positions that were filled before we didn't fill, we also cut back in offices, including, we cut back 1.5 positions in the commission's office, to, make our budget this time.
Okay.
And with all due respect, Commissioner Vance, one of the biggest reasons I didn't ask for any, because we were placed on a hiring freeze at that time. And it was January 18th actually, in that meeting, so, being placed on a hiring freeze, that's why, put it in the budget later on down the road, but at that time, didn't ask to fill that position because I was on a hiring freeze, so I couldn't fill any other vacant positions that was in the budget.
Right, well, whatever we, Sheriff, whatever we approved your budget for is what we're going by right now, so, I don't know any other way to answer that.
Well, So the hiring freeze is for every office in the courthouse, correct?
We haven't,
Is that still in effect, or is that
I don't, the commission hasn't discussed it, so I don't really know. It's not my decision, it's all of our decisions of what to do. But I don't see how you could hire additional personnel in the physical condition this commission's in. Now, you know, we expected to get more coal severance money because coal had ticked up a little bit, but it's still, what, 1/5 of what it was before on a quarterly basis. So we're not seeing this great uptick of coal severance that they're seeing. I know I talked with the commissioners in Logan County, and they're seeing a lot more coal severance money and stuff, you know, so. And if you look at the amount of monies we have available, which most of the, I think a lot of these positions as far as deputy sheriffs are paid through coal severance in a lot of those counties. And I know that if you look at the amount of money we get to operate on versus what Logan or even, I don't really even compare Cabell or Kanawha or any of those that have big towns and big cities and things like that.
Wayne,
Well,
Wayne,
Wayne
that's
has
more
a-
like us.
But I did, I think we talked about this before, I did talk with some of the state police, and they had a 14 here in the county. When I talked to them, and I think they may have more than that now, they may have added a couple more, I'm not sure about that. But I know, when I talked with them, when we were going over the budget, I happened to run into some of them, talk to them. And I know they had 14 state police in this county. And that was in consideration of what we did in the budget, was with that knowledge that we did have that. But we're not, you know, I've told the sheriff before when we've talked, you know, if we had the money, he would have the people. Just like, you know, the circuit clerk needs somebody, and the judge and I talked about that they needed somebody else, but we just don't have the money. And that's where we're at. It's like I talked to him about potential possibilities of funding that we might receive from maybe some of these suits and things like that. And I told him that, you know, if we did get money, as part of that would be spent in law enforcement.
I would like to, I'm not going to comment, but I would like to, you know, me and Rex, who's my chief, would like to sit down with all three commissioners and discuss something, maybe we can come up with some kind of plan to better help us. I mean, the animal complaints are overwhelming. We have nowhere to take them. I mean, there's nothing we can really do with animals right now.
When we talked, didn't you say you were gonna check the BART people over in Boone County?
Yeah, the problem with them is they're an adoption agency, so there's not so much,
Okay.
if I get 6 dogs, I can't take them 6 dogs.
Right,
I mean, you know, it's not an active town
Then we can't very well tell people when they call for an animal complaint,
that we can
well, we
take
don't
care
have
of.
the money to take care of it right now, call back later.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Well,
Yeah.
I tell them to call the DNR.
well, then the DNR refers them back to our office because we're.
Well, that's just what I'm saying, you know, and I would like very much for us to have a humane officer in a place to take these dogs and be able to support them after we get them there. Because our costs, I don't remember the exact cost, and do you remember how much it was costing us for the shelter and things like that back then?
Well, the shelter is 13,000 for a year.
That's cheap.
Well, it's not if you don't have 15,000.
But it's, I mean, do we have an outstanding bill to pay with the shelter, Mary?
No.
So we have a clean slate,
As far as I know, yeah.
so,
I mean, we didn't get like an invoice, I just budgeted 15,000 each year and that's, we paid it.
you did for this year?
No, we haven't, for
Not none for this
2 or
year.
3 years probably, yeah.
Where was that shelter, in Cabell County?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know it's a problem, and I wish we could address it, there's just no money to address it. I mean, we do not.
One of the other problems that my office is facing is, you know, when we're so short-staffed, the DDPs, mental hygiene,
Yes.
and then with the overtime issues, because you don't know when they're gonna arrive, you don't know when the mental hygiene's gonna come out, then if you work somebody, if they're on mental hygiene, I mean, I do mental hygiene myself, because, you know, I'm salary, and we don't have to do it in Hunter's. I don't know any other sheriff that does that in the state, but anyways, if one of my guys work 13 hours, because it can very well take that long,
Yes.
for mental hygiene, then I have to put them off for a day or two, and then I have lack of law enforcement coverage for the next day. You understand what I'm saying? If I don't,
It is
If
true.
they're over their hours,
Yeah.
then they would take off the day, yeah, or their time, I mean, 13 hours a day.
If you've ever been involved in a mental hygiene, it takes hours and
Well, I've
hours
been
and
involved
hours.
in mental
So
hygiene.
you would know, I mean, he's telling you the truth, because it's a very dangerous situation.
He
Yes,
was asking the timing, I think.
Yeah.
I just wondered how we handled it in the past.
you know, like I said, I don't know, you know, what they, you know, sometimes mental hygiene takes a couple hours, it's not a big deal, it's just, you got the psychologist and the psychiatrist, it's really up to them whenever they decide to come in and interview the, you know, the patient. So sometimes, you know, like I said, I've been on mental hygiene for myself for 13 hours. I mean, that's a long time. And then, you know, I have to justify that with that employee because he's then worked 13 hours. He may have got called out after a shift, you understand what I'm saying? And then doing that, then the next day, I have to put him off, and then I can't serve DVPs adequately. There might be 3 or 4 different, I mean, it's just hard to juggle it all with, because I'm so short-staffed. I mean, it's, you know.
Well, I've spoken with the prosecutor concerning the DVPs
Yeah.
and something. I think you and I talked
Yeah,
about
we
it
did.
before and things like that, and I talked to him about it. And it was my understanding that, he was gonna talk to you about it. I don't know if he did or not.
No, he never got around. And that's something that, like the process server, he can't do a domestic violence petition. It has to be law enforcement only. So, you know, I can't use him to serve those things. So it has to actually be either, you know, me or Rex or one of the other, you know, the other individuals. And it's just, it's.
Are you-
How much does the commission pay, the mental hygienists per year? to do-
8,000 per year.
So we pay them 8,000.
Now, you have 2 guys that are kind of tied up here bailiffing.
Yeah.
Every day.
Are
There are
they-
mental hygienes too.
That's what I was gonna say, are they serving?
That's what's making it tough too, is, you know, now that I've circulated them in the mental hygiene process, is, you know, they're bailiffs. So they have to be here, and if they get called out, you know, after hours, you know what I mean, then I have to, you know, try to come in and step in for them, either him or I, and then, in turn, you know, there's DVPs coming out on the book and this and that, and we're confined to here, and I don't have the resources to be able to do my duty, is basically what I'm saying. I mean, it's making it really challenging to be able to do it effectively at this point. I mean, that's why I'd like to, any way possible, just sit down and maybe we can, you know, surely God, 5 brains together, we can try to come up with something to be able to develop, you know, 1 or 2 more guys, something to try to fix the problem.
Well, I'll tell you what I can do, Sheriff, if you want me to, I'll get with the prosecutor and see if we can sit down together, see if he's got any suggestions that might, like I say, what we're ultimately looking at is money, and whether we can pay for things or not, and we just happen to be in a time where that's all short supply of things. But I have no problem, and we can get together and sit down with the prosecutor and maybe run some things by the judge and see if he can have some suggestions about how to handle that.
Gary, it's the first time I've seen you since the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so like, you know, a lot of this stuff, like what you're saying, new to me.
Gotcha.
Like if I, you know, I haven't laid eyes on you since, you know, we sat down in that room.
Yeah,
And I mean, you know,
working 18
and
or 20
I
hours a day.
understand, I mean, you know, same here. But what I'm saying is like, a lot of times if somebody, you know, and I know you're new to this, if, you know, you receive a budget and you're not happy with it, you know, then I think it's important to come back and say something soon, before the
I did.
budget gets solidified. Does that make sense?
I did.
But I mean,
That's exactly
what I'm
you're
saying is like, you know, there's no way that I can know. I mean, whenever you try to go to bat for somebody,
But I mean, don't you all communicate?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you
You
can
guys
show
are
up
commission.
and take together.
Well, I don't, you know, if one of the elected officials calls me at home at night and I talk to
They
them,
can talk together.
I basically tell them what I want to do and do that. If it requires a action by the commission, I bring it before the
Do you
commission.
think it'd be a good idea for me in the future to just, you know, try to
Well,
communicate,
and
sit down and follow
I
you all,
do,
like I did today, you
Set
know,
up a
just
meeting.
try to
I
communicate.
mean, I live
set up
about
a
2
meeting.
miles, maybe not even 2 miles from you. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like, if,
That's
but
what
what I'm
you have a
saying,
full-time job, you don't even.
I
have to do that.
understand, but what I'm saying is, it's like, and, you know, I think you understand my point is, you know, whenever you're going over a budget, and, you know, if there was something that you don't like about the budget, you know, in years past, if an elected official says, hey, listen, you know, I don't like this, then that's something that, you know, that you can discuss. But here's the thing, if I don't know, then it's hard to discuss that. I mean, it's not like that I'm gonna come to you and say, you know, this is what, you know, are you good with your budget? You know, more than likely, if there's something that's happened, or something, if you're not satisfied, then you know, you come to me, or you know, you can talk to him. But I mean, you know, it's just,
Just,
that's just, I mean, that's how it is.
So you've talked to The other two commissioners.
No, I talked to Mr. Vance.
To the
I mean,
president,
you know,
so.
Him and I, we communicate quite a bit, actually, I think we.
So you
we're on
didn't
the same-
communicate his concerns to the
No,
other two
I
commissioners?
relay anything he tells me. I try my best when I talk to him the next time to tell him that I've talked with the sheriff and this is what
So did you get talked to, Mr. Matthews,
About,
about the budget concerns he had?
I'm not familiar with there being any type of budget concerns.
Well, as far
No,
as
I
the
mean, I-
secretary position, we didn't talk about that. We were talking about cars and.
Yeah, we're
this and
talking
that.
about all the,
All the
all the
other
major
things.
concerns that I had in the budget.
And those
The
that I can
vehicles, the
deal with that
deputies,
don't
the-
require
everything,
the
yeah.
commission to act on, I just fill them in with what we're doing and we do them. But, you know, I very much feel that the commission has to be in communication with each other, and I think we do. You know, the important thing to remember is none of us commissioners individually can do anything
Right.
without the direction of the commission. As far as spending monies that's not already been said where we can spend and things like that, we can't promise the sheriff individually that we can do this, this, or this.
Sure.
And that's the way that it should work, because we should be here in an open meeting and do our business that way. Now, I don't, you know, back when the sheriff first got in, we talked about once a week or so.
Yeah, we
you
talked
know,
quite a bit.
And whatever concerns he has, I would address it. The chief deputy called me a few weeks ago about another thing at the office, and I addressed that with Mary and tried to get it cleared up for him and things. So it's not, you know, this commission, I think, has much better communication between each other than maybe prior commissions have. Because we're dealing with some very complicated, very hard things, and no one person's gonna solve these things.
Absolutely.
And I think it's important for me as president to go with the direction of the commission, not really direct the commission. Because I always feel that it's our decision as a group as far as how we spend the people's money.
Right.
And,
And like I said, I didn't understand really how the commission works. I didn't know that you couldn't talk to him. So when I go directly to you, I'm thinking, okay.
Well, it's not that I can't talk to him. Now, we can't meet and discuss commission, Crown County problems. We can't go, you know, down and have dinner and sit there and discuss problems, because we can't meet as a body without giving public notice of that.
So then, just let me get it kind of straight. What I should do in turn is go to each individual commissioner when I have.
I think
an
the
issue.
best thing to
Ask for a
do,
meeting.
Or, I mean,
I
don't
think
know.
the best thing to do.
Because it's
is-
always been a communication issue with KK. I mean, it's all, every time I'm in here, it's brought up that way. So, I mean, you know, that's why I'm asking, should I just go to KK, then go to you, then go to her?
Well, no,
What do I
I
do?
think what would probably work better, just submit your concerns in writing to the commission. We can bring it out in an open meeting if we're able to. If it's a personnel thing, that we would seek the opinion of the prosecutors, whether it needs to be in this executive session. So, you know, the best thing I found that is to always put things in writing. And, you know, you'll submit it to us, we'll have it as a matter of record, and then we can act on it as best we can. Now, it still may not get the results you need, you know what I mean? But I think when things are in paper, you can always reference back to them, just as Barb knows. I mean, you know, this is something that I feel is necessary. I don't think that going to individual commissioners, I mean, and you can do it if you want, but I don't know if that's a good use of your time, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that was
And
my
things like that.
argument to him.
But if you would, any elected official, if you've got a concern that should be addressed by the commission, submit it in writing to the commission, and that way we can give you an answer. And even if it's not the one you want, you know, we can give you an answer to that. And I think that's the best way any of the elected officials ought to do that. And that way, we have it as a matter of public record, what we're concerned about, and we also have it as a matter of public record, how we respond to your questions. So I think that's very much, and that's not saying I don't care if you call me and us talking, I think that's good too.
Yeah.
But I think as far as addressing your concerns as a commission, it should be brought in writing for the commission, and then let's look at it, let's look at, because we may have to reference what we did prior and things like that, but that would be the best way as far as I'm concerned, and I guess the other commissioners feel the same way. If we have it in writing, we have that before us at all times, we can review it and things like that. So, you know, anytime, you know, the only one gets away with it, otherwise be the judge. So, I mean, but I really think that's the best way to deal with any problems we have. And I've talked with other elected officials and said the same thing, because it's real hard when you talk to one of us and another of us, and, you know, one of us might be at a ball game, and one of us might be, you know, I might be doing surgery or whatever, you know what I mean? And it's hard to keep track of what was said and what was needed. And I try to make notes when you call, so I make sure I hit all the points. But I do think that, you know, it's best if you can submit questions or concerns in writing and let us bring it in for, you know, commission, and then let us hash it out and figure out what we can do with it.
Is that a policy that you'll have for
I
every
don't think
elected
it's- I
official?
don't think
Because that
there's
might be
any-
a good policy.
Yeah, I agree
For
it is.
that, you know,
And
everybody should put their concerns.
when we get
in writing,
into
too.
changing the personnel policies and things like that, there's a process you go through, and Judge drafted most of our personnel policies, so he's aware of that. But I mean, I don't have any problem at all as having that a member as a matter of policy. But I you know, I don't know that we need to go through, jumping through the hoops we need to do to put it in the framework, you know, the paperwork, but I don't care to do that.
I think, you know, every department should be treated fairly and the same.
Every
so
department.
If he's gonna have to put it in writing, Darrell Baker should have to put it in writing, and the assessor's office, you
Oh,
know,
I
so
think,
that's what I mean.
I think so, and I
So-
think it's just like any concerns an individual would have to bring it before the commission. I think even though we talk about it, they ought to submit things in writing, their concerns, so that we have that matter of record also, so.
That's why my overtime is in writing.
Right, so,
You know, I mean, you know, I'm sure you have a number of deputies that you want, and I'm sure, you know, and of course, there's constraints as far as the budget's concerned. So, you know, I guess it's kind of important, you know, usually you do that during the budget process, but, you know, it's important to probably get that out there.
were you included in the budget process?
Yeah, I asked for X amount of people, I just didn't get them, but, you know, it is what it is.
I did too.
Yeah, we have all the elected officials come before the commission with their budget requests,
Mhm.
and we go over the prior year's budget and their requests and things like that. Then we make a decision and let them know what it is, and they get a copy of their budget and things. And then we go from there, and we enact it on fiscal year basis. We start in July and things like that, so.
Okay, all right, thank you all.
Thank you. John Harkins?
So I said a few questions as well. A lot of it echoed, a lot of it actually was discussed previously. But to echo, to talk about the budget again, so I understand the sheriff's budget was cut approximately 33% from last year.
No, I don't think that's true.
I mean,
I don't know what the numbers are, but I can tell you what we did.
It's probably close.
what?
No.
Darrell's on
Huh?
the one goes under Darrell's on the, so
I know we cut all offices, I don't know how much. I know that in the sheriff's case, off the top of my head, and I'm not sure of this, but we didn't fill a position, was that it, that was open? And then in the county clerk's office, we didn't fill a position there.
I
Two
mean,
positions.
technically, I don't think his budget got cut, he didn't.
It may
do
not
a
have gotten
position.
cut, but if
this
something
one-
doesn't get used, that's not used last time, in essence, his total number for last year is higher than his total number from this year.
Well, I mean, essentially, I'm sure it is.
You know, I would tell you, I would not, when we went through the budget, it was in March.
Sure.
Okay, I mean, it's September the 7th. So, I mean, you know, and if you're asking, like, if you would ask me physically, like, numbers about the sheriff's budget, you know, in September, whenever I worked on that in March, I'm not gonna be able to tell you. I would have to go back and look at it, and I don't know if anybody in this room would be
Do
able to
we
do
agree
that.
it's lower than last year?
I don't know. And the reason I couldn't tell you that I would know is because, you know, I didn't, and I don't, and I probably never will, and I don't think any other commission in the state would be able to quote you what their particular, whatever office it was, what their particular budget is.
What about the overall commission's budget? I understand that.
The budget for that we have to run this place, everything.
Yes.
Yeah, we could probably address certain things, but I mean, are we gonna go line item by line item?
Sure.
Well, I mean, that's what I would wanna know. I mean, because what happens
Well,
is,
here's my
I
question.
mean, like,
If-
I really don't understand what you're
If the
getting at.
overall commission, here it is. So if the overall commission budget is higher this year than last year, and the overall sheriff's budget's lower this year from last year. Where did that money go?
Whatever.
Where was it
Here's why-
appropriated?
go ahead.
That is my question.
First of all, because there's nothing budgeted in coal severance this year. There's nothing budgeted in coal. That's where we paid all automobiles, maintenance, all of these things. We paid the jail bill from there. I had to take that money and put that in general county. The county commission's coffers covers that. So 401 increased to cover the automobiles expenditures that I had in coal. There's zero in coal anymore. Last year, we had 600,000 budgeted. So yeah, it increased because I had to move that over. You have to pay for it somewhere. The
Well, that's what
county
I'm asking,
commission-
so, you
the
know,
county commission
from my
had-
perspective, I see a number bigger
Sure, because the
overall,
budget is-
lower
I mean, the
over
budget's a
here.
very intricate thing to read. You can't just look at
And
it.
one thing,
It's hard to
if you look
understand.
at our budget too, we eliminated the litter control officer. We cut back our floodplains manager to half-time. And that was in our office, particularly the expenditures from our office. So we did that ourselves. And what she's saying is basically, if you look at the general county fund versus the coal severance, I think that may be where you're seeing a lot of
It
that.
is.
And
And
that's
one
what
of
I'm
the
asking,
things,
and
one of the
that
things
explains it,
too,
and it does.
one of the things we did too, did we not take some of Daryl's money over into the commission?
We sure did. We took Daryl's, where he had his overtime and extra help.
Because, and it helps us better control what overtime's being paid. And that's whether, that doesn't mean we spent it on something, other than like the overtime required for the referendum and things like that. But we have better control this fiscal year than we did last fiscal year on the expenditures in the offices. And that cut his office back too. Mr. Brumfield lost a person up there.
So every department, maybe every department, or the departments that got cut, all went back into the general fund to pay for things that you used to get tax money for, or coal money for.
Well, you're operating with two different budgets, all right? You have your coal severance budget, your general county budget. And one of the things, and just like what Doc Vance was saying, if, let's say that Daryl has, overtime, $10,000 in overtime, or $10,000 in any particular line item, all right? At the end of the year, all right, a lot of times what office holders will do is they'll come through and they'll say, listen, I've got an extra $5,000 right here and we'll spend it. All right? Well, if it's in their budget, they can. I mean, they have every right to spend that. But if it's not in their budget and it's in our budget, we can use that money as a carryover. Because what happens is, and I'm sure you're all familiar with this, you don't have any taxes coming in the summer months. So what happens is you have this pot of money, all right, that comes in taxes, all right? That money has to last you all year because people usually quit paying taxes in, May. So your tax checks are real big in September, October, November, but they start dwindling down. So you have to have money to operate the government, in the months whenever you're not getting any type of collection. So you have to you're operating with a carryover. So whenever at the end of each fiscal year, all right, all the money, basically all funds come back into the county commission for unspent funds for that carryover. So it's easier to control for the county commission if those funds are in the county commission's coffers, where you can control where they're spent, as opposed to being in somebody's, maybe some office holder who really doesn't care whether all those funds are spent or not. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does.
And I think it's a rational approach, so that whenever you can have an idea of what you're going to have whenever you start getting into those summer months. Because you have to have a certain carryover or people are not going to get paid. Does that make sense? Okay.
One of the things that too, not only have we decreased our coal service what we've been getting, and have been getting that, but we also had a lot of commercial taxes, or taxes on property that was over $2 million reduction.
Right,
or
and
something.
they need to remember also, the budget that we're running on is an estimate. if we don't receive the amount of
That's what I was gonna say, a
taxes-
lot of people don't realize with a budget, some of that money's projected.
Well, what,
I
and the
completely
state
understand
tells us, the
the
state
budget.
tells us, say we're gonna collect 2 million in taxes that year. So we run already, we use that to run that budget.
Yep.
If we don't get 2 million in taxes, we're in the hole before we even complete the budget, which is what has happened in the past few years. We're not meeting the tax collection that the state is projecting we will be meeting.
Correct.
So when I'm using 2 million, when they're using 2 million to run this budget, and we have all the elected officials equaling, say, $2 million, and we collect 1.5 million, we're 500,000 in the hole. So I have to make that up.
And then the next year you project 1.5.
We project what the state gives me. I can't project what we want to project. The state gives me a number, and that puts it in. I don't do that. You can't do that.
And I think it's important to understand is like, you know, whenever, just like with coal severance, you know, if there's a downturn in the coal market, right, you're not gonna get that money in. And a lot of times the state will have a projection of something that, you know, you're gonna get you're gonna get $500,000 in coal severance. And you know, because you are in the county, you know, or you work in a county that, you know, that is a big coal producer, you know you're not gonna get that. So there's no reason to go in and put a bunch of, you know, budget to spend a bunch of money that you know that you're not gonna have. So I think that, you know, in my opinion, and everybody has their own opinion, but in my opinion, I think we've done fairly well with our budget. Seeing what we have seen in the coal market in the past 4 years, 5 years, and we've seen it's been unreal with the amount of money that used to come in or used to come through these doors to what we are now. And I think we've done fairly well with, as far as making sure that we're paying the bills, making sure that, you know, our employees are squared away, that we have gas money so that you can run a cruiser up and down the road, or, you know, whatever it is. Sure, I mean, you know, it would be nice to just sit down and say, hey, listen, you know, we want to give Daryl 2 more people, or you want to give this person 2 more people, or this, or, you know, whenever you have employees that are making poverty wages, it would be nice to be able to give them more money. But the thing about it is whenever you really drill down and you look at it, you have to, you know, because you have to pay these bills, you have to be conservative with what you do. And I mean, that's been my approach. That's what I've been trying to do as a commissioner.
And like you said, we all have opinions.
Of course.
My opinion would be I would cut the sheriff last.
Understand.
He's the one keeping us safe, his department.
Well, then the assessor could argue that he's the one bringing in revenue also. He
See,
does the taxes,
I'm
he
sure
doesn't go
everyone's got
out.
that
They all
argument.
have
Like I
it,
said,
right?
we all have our opinions.
They all have it,
Like,
and then these three
like
have to
Commissioner Matthews
decide
said.
it.
Yeah, and I think the thing that, you know, I think people say, we're gonna get more coal severance money. We don't have an active mine in Lincoln County.
Yeah.
And that's what really hurts us right now. Hobet's not here, you know, you don't have people drilling under and getting coal severance money, so we kinda get it on the lower end of the tail of what we're supposed to get. And, but I can tell you the assessor did have a very good presentation back earlier in the year concerning how much we've lost in general revenue on taxes and what we lost from coal severance. And I'm thinking it was
33 million.
3.3 million.
No,
Oh.
the class 3.
But that was a total, but as far as income to us, we lost quite a bit with that. But I'll see if Barry can find that information and get it to you. That way, he delineated how much we had to operate with, that he figured we was gonna have to operate. And it was really well done. I don't remember the numbers now, but I think it's important that everybody knows how much less we're getting versus what we did have. So.
Sure.
And I agree, law enforcement should be a top priority. And that's
You
like
had mentioned earlier, the state police, with 14 troopers, right, in the county.
I think we have 16 maybe now.
Yeah.
That's worse. I mean, just because they become primary law enforcement for the county. And I would think as a county, we don't want that. You want your elected sheriff to run the county and not the state police, which is what they're doing right now. And we all drive the roads. You can't go down 10 without seeing a state trooper hiding behind a bush somewhere, really just looking to give a ticket. Maybe I'm the only one who's seen
No,
it, but
it's true.
they're everywhere.
I see it, you
Well,
see
well,
it.
I mean, I think
I don't see when I go to work.
police, I think, you know, one of the things as a deterrent is it doesn't matter what kind of uniform that police has on. But if
Agreed.
they're out being seen by the public, then it's a deterrent. I mean, it is, and that's the only, you know, and I can understand where you're.
Right now, I
coming
see
from,
the
too.
deterrent is don't speed, not don't do anything else.
Well, you know, and they're trained in investigation technique and things like that too, you know, so I don't care if we had 30 state police and 30 deputies. I mean, I would
That
be
would
fine
be
with
great.
that.
That'd be awesome.
If we can afford it, you know what I
Right.
mean? I think, the more, you know, it's like any of us, if we're thinking about going down the road and drinking a little bit after we do it, if we know we're gonna run past 2 or 3 state police and JJ Napper and deputies, I mean, that's a deterrent as far as I'm concerned, because I mean, they're looking for it. But I mean, I do appreciate your comments, and like I said, and if any of y'all have any further questions you'd like the commission to address, get it in writing to us, and we'll bring it, you know, we'll bring it to the next meeting and talk.
All right, one more quick thing, and this is more on a personal side, but it affects everybody. It goes back to the animal control. I live up on top of 9 Mile. I know you're familiar with it. There's dogs everywhere. I have 7. They're all indoor dogs, but they all roam because I have 100 acres and they have the room to do it. The reason I have 7 is because I seem to take in strays that walk up my driveway because we just saw that white van drive by and here comes a dog limping up the driveway because it was dumb. So without an animal control officer, I have nowhere to put that dog except for my house. And, you know, I love dogs. 7's getting to be about. The 7th one was just, the 7th one was just 2 weeks ago. And literally, we saw the guy go by and toss a dog, moving.
We got a lot of coyotes up there too, don't we?
A lot of coyotes.
Yeah.
They don't touch my dogs because I have a bigger pack than they do. But, you know, we love this dog now, but 2 weeks ago, I was looking to get rid of him. But, you know, I call Cabell County, they won't take any dog from Lincoln because they don't have an agreement with the commission. So they just won't even take, I offer to pay. I'll give the $65 fee. We don't take them from the county. I can't call the sheriff, he doesn't have an animal control officer. What do I do with them? Eventually, you know, the inn's full.
I wish we had the money to take care of that, but that's what it takes is money, just like Cabell County, what they need is their $15,000-$20,000 a year ahead of time. And that's what we're looking at with that, you know, and like I say, I wish we could address it, it's one of those things that we just don't have the money to address it.
So there's not an answer, basically. I mean,
I'm sure there's an
to which-
answer somewhere, but I just don't, if it involves us putting out more money, that's not gonna be the case right now.
Well,
We
you-
just don't have it.
You're talking about putting out money that wasn't budgeted this year.
Sure.
So, I mean, and that's coming back to the same thing.
Yeah, and I
You know,
understand.
It has to be.
I understand why we don't have an animal control officer.
Right, but
Especially
it,
after
you know, but
today.
it does, you know, and that's it has to be, that's one of the things I think that we need to do. I mean, if we're gonna do something, it needs to be budgeted. So, I mean, that's something that, you know, would be a great idea, you know, for next year. You know, for the next fiscal year, that you put it in the budget.
You know, and you were here when the people in the Supreme Court were talking about doing this over here. We may not be able to accept $100,000 because we don't have 20,000 match up. You know, that's a situation we're in right now.
And I get all that. That's what the question just is, what do I do with these dogs?
Right.
It's not the only ones. The down, you know, what we don't want to see is someone doesn't take the dog, it turns feral, and bites somebody. Then the county gets sued because we don't have an animal control officer. Do they have a legal right to, you know, everyone can legally
I don't
sue.
know.
It's going to happen.
I don't know the answer to that, whether
Yeah.
they sue the county if they get bit by it or not.
You absolutely can sue the county. You can
Well,
sue
I mean,
anybody.
you can sue anybody,
You
but
can
I mean,
absolutely
as
sue
far as
anybody.
being able to,
And you know, everyone knows, if you go, you know, in front of a court because their kid got bit by a dog that couldn't get taken in by animal control, they've already won in public opinion. And the chances are they'll win in court. So over a potential $12,000 or $15,000, you know, piece that goes out to the shelter, my fear is someone getting bit,
Appreciate that.
so. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
I just have one more comment, if you did, just a question. When, I heard the sheriff say that when he has to pull long hours, he has, if it's somebody long hours, he has to give them the day off, like the next day, is that what you said?
Yeah, if we don't have, if we're out of
Just
overtime.
overtime hours. Is that the same way for every department in this courthouse? Do they get comp, I call it comp time, if you work over,
No, we don't.
don't get paid.
There's-
No other departments has that same policy?
See, the thing with the sheriff's, in getting, it's like he requests overtime in advance for what he anticipates for
Right.
for that month and stuff, and that's, the way we handle overtime with him.
Right.
But any other, office, I would think, I know when Mary stays late for these meetings, we may let her off a few hours Friday.
Well, that's what I'm asking, is that the policy of the county commission for all the departments, like Mr. Baker, is that your policy? Somebody works over, do they get to leave early in that pay period, or do they get paid overtime?
Well, usually if it's for election, it'll be.
I can't hear you.
Usually if it's for election, it'll be overtime.
So you get
But
paid
that
overtime
money
in
is
the election.
reimbursed to the commission.
Right,
So it's not like, you know what I'm saying, every other, as far as I know, anybody that works over that, and it's up to the individual office holder to decide on how to do that. Once their money gets in that office, it's like, we can't tell them, it's just like,
I see.
it's just like, when somebody leaves an office,
Mhm.
and there's 4 or 5 months of salary for that person there,
Yes,
they can divide it up among everybody else.
and give them a raise.
And give them a raise till the end of that fiscal year.
I see.
You see what I'm talking about? Because we don't have the right to tell them what to do with that money once it's in there. And this has been case after case of that's been tried. So that's why we're talking about, we tried this year to be as fiscally responsible as possible and be able to control potential expenditures. And we've seen this in different offices and things like that where we thought we might can save money by doing this. And it's, it's not our money, it's not your all's money, it's everybody's money in the county. So, we have to make a decision on what we feel is best for everybody and be fair with everybody. And there's never been any intent of myself or the commission to be, prejudiced against this one or that one. I mean, it's not the way we do business. And like I say, if we had the money, these are all legitimate problems we're talking about. But it's a matter of, how much money do we have to spend on it, and where do we start at, and where do we have income coming in for it? It's just like the concerns I have with putting the people over in the annex is we heard the security guy say we're going to have a bailiff over there. I mean, that's what I understood him to say, that you need here and there. Well, that means we're looking at additional personnel expenditures for doing that. So that has to be considered by the commission, not only the construction and how it's done and things like that, but we've also got to look at what's the cost per month operation over there. And that's something we'll be looking into as we receive this information. Judge, what they're doing is they took the plans with them, and they're going to get back with us on it. So,
Oh, okay.
and I told them that I felt you needed to approve anything that needed to be done.
Oh, don't suck up, don't suck up.
And they didn't disagree with me. They
Oh,
said,
no.
he is the senior circuit judge, isn't he?
The brown nosing goes from my nose to them. That's how that goes.
There you go. Did you have anything you needed to?
No, I just wanted, you mentioned to me about stopping in, and I guess you just told me what you need to tell me.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
And I'll get with you, because I get those plans back.
Not a problem.
And we
Not a problem, because the way those things all went through previously, there's a new regime now. And they'll need to go through again. That's just the way the world works. Because they don't have any money either.
That's the point I brought up to, I brought up the 6.2 million or whatever they're in the hole.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate you coming by.
No problem. Because truly, they're looking for every place that they can to cut costs right now. And I can tell you from my own personal experience and knowledge that I have, they've terminated a bunch of people and not filled those spots back. And it's not because of politics or political discrimination or anything else. It has to do with the fact they don't have any money. So,
That was one of the concerns, you weren't here, but they brought up the construction plan would start, we'd apply for it in October and get
Right.
started in January, but they weren't gonna act on the security part of it till June and July before they awarded the security part. And-
Gotcha.
And that bothers me a little bit, you know, because.
Well, because it's almost impossible for you to plan and budget if that's the case.
Right.
I've already had a talk with Judge Johnson about that, and he says he understands, but nevertheless, he has to do what he has to do. You guys gotta do what you do.
All right, we appreciate that.
No problem, no problem.
Thank you much.
Take care of yourself, Council.
Hi, my name is Rachel Boiler, and I work at Prestera here in Lincoln County. I'm the director, and I'm terribly, terribly sorry for being late, but I was actually stuck at my office due to a mental hygiene, believe it or not. So, which is one of the things that I wanted to hopefully.
Excuse me, what did you say your last name was?
Oiler, like the Houston Oilers.
Okay, go ahead. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
and one of the things that I was hoping to be able to come here and maybe be able to ask a quick question about was, I'm not from here. I moved down here from Pittsburgh. And as a transplant, I moved down here a couple of years ago. I've quickly fallen in love with the people of Lincoln County. I absolutely love that I can see the stars and that people know each other, and you talk to one person and they know 6 generations of people's family. That's not something that I'm used to. But another thing that I've noticed about Lincoln County is, unfortunately, there's an epidemic in Lincoln County of drug use and hopelessness, and people just kind of giving up on themselves and on their family. And as somebody who advocates in the mental health field, I'm seeing more and more people coming in with mental health hygienes, and more people coming in saying, you know, I think that my brother, sister, mother, fill in the blank, is gonna end their life. Like, they just don't have any hope. And so mental health hygienes is something that we're seeing on the rise at Prestera. And so every time I go to a clinical staff meeting, I'm going to Prestera and saying, look, this is a problem in Lincoln County, and what can we as mental health professionals be doing to help in this epidemic? You know, because we've got, you know, the sheriff's office, and these guys are coming out and they're running themselves ragged and they're sitting there for hours. What can we do to speed up this process? And so we're working on our end. You know, we've already signed a contract for high-speed internet to kind of speed up that process. And we've got, you know, more doctors getting signed on that will hopefully be starting in the next month. So we're doing what we can on our end to speed up that process. But I was hoping to be able to come here and engage in a dialogue with you guys. Is there anything that you feel can be done on this end to kind of help out the sheriff's office, or to help out, you know, just here in Lincoln County, because I do see it as an issue where, you know, we see the same couple of guys coming in and they're exhausted. Right now, you know, the poor chief has been over there for about 4 hours. He's still there, and he's probably still going to be there when I leave here. And I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna take him some food. I picked him up food. I'm gonna feed the poor man when I get back, because I know that he's been there for 4 hours. And I know that he's hungry. And I know that he's tired, and he worked 13 hours yesterday, and he's carrying a gun, and he's tired, and all he wants to do is sleep. And I know that he's on call until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. So for the next 14 hours, at any time, that phone could ring, and he's gonna be back in my office. And he'd be back on the streets trying to protect me and my family, again with a gun, sleep deprived. Is there anything on this end that you guys can do to kind of help that?
I appreciate your comments. You know, before I left to come over here, I had someone that, we had to send down the honey, they called, and, you know, had problems thinking she was gonna kill herself and things like that. And, you know, and we discussed this before you got over here. We've already kind of went through that, you know, where we're at with things like that, and things of that nature. You know, not being a short timer in Lincoln County, been here practicing medicine for 36 years, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I see it not only from the end of being a medicine practitioner, but I also see it on the commission's end. And believe me, there's nothing more I would rather do as a doctor than increase their health, because I understand what they're trying to go through. This all goes back, and you know that, I mean, if you've been around long enough, you know this, that when we started having the opiate epidemic,
Yeah.
that's what started, I see families completely torn apart because of this. I've seen young kids and parents of children die because of it. And this is a very, very hard thing to deal with. And I know from your part it is too, and from their part it is too. And as soon as we can do something to help that, we would. Because I think that's important. I go tomorrow to the day reporting drug court up in Logan, and I sat there with those guys and we talk about what we can do. And, this is something that's important. It requires an overall strategy. It, we do need more deputies working on these problems with mental hygienes and things like that. But like I said, and we've talked about this, it's a matter of wanting and being able to do anything about it. And it's, for 17 years I was 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I'd come in at night and draw blood for the state police when they pick somebody up and things like that. So I've been around enough to see the evolution of this thing. And there's nothing that I individually can do, or you individually can do, or they individually can do. It requires all of us to be able to try to get funding for these things and things like that. That's, like we talked, that's the ultimate problem. We don't have the monies. And it's not, I wish the legislature would kind of get off their ass and try to do something about that. They need to give us some funding for these problems. Instead of dealing with whatever they do, they should deal with what the epidemic we're dealing with now. I mean, this is not something that gets better just by saying, oh, I wish it would get better. We've all got to come together and work with what we have to do what we can. But until we get more monies to do with, there's absolutely nothing that I know this commission can do. And spending the last half hour I was at the office talking to this lady and finally getting her into where she needed to be, I know that's a problem. I know that for my end of it, I also have to take care of the sore throats and the chronic obstructive lung disease and everything else along with these problems you're talking about. So this is not something that I'm unfamiliar with. It's something I'm very familiar with. Having to deal with these families that no longer have daughters or sons because they died in their 20s. And they're taking, we have so many grandparents now that are parents of the grandkids because the family is either addicted to drug, the mom and dad's either addicted to drug or they're dead. And that's the ultimate reality of what we're dealing with here. And there's only one way to deal with that, and I do not see local commissions coming up with monies to fight this. This has to be done at the state and federal level. And until they realize that, you're going to be sitting there, the sheriff's going to be sitting there, and I'm going to be sitting here saying we don't have anything to work with. And believe me, every time I meet with, whether it's Senator Capito or Senator Manchin or any of the others, my number one concern, and when I go to the drug court tomorrow, my number one concern is where do we get funding to do things here? Because that's where it's all at. People, no matter how much they care, you can get some people to volunteer for things, but you need to be able to pay them a decent wage to do their job. And we can't do that now. And it's sad with what we go through here in this county that we can't do that. But we can. But, I appreciate the job y'all do. I appreciate what Crestera does. And I really think that it's going to come down to somewhere along the line, we're going to have an infusion of monies to deal with the opiate epidemic and those things that we see that are secondary to that. And like I said, it's a terrible mountain to climb when you can't find anything to grab a hold of to pull up the side of the mountain. And that's where we're at now. And all these are legitimate. Even a dog biting somebody is a legitimate concern. But when you're talking about what we're dealing with our opiate epidemic and how it's affecting our families, it could potentially destroy, especially rural areas. I saw it with methamphetamines in the reservations out in Montana, completely destroyed the young population of those reservations. And that was 15 years ago, before we ever had meth back here. So these type things aren't strange. We know what causes them. We know how to take care of them, but we don't have any monies to do it. Till you stop people from getting addicted to opiates, you're not going to, they won't go to heroin right off the bat if they can get their opiates. But you get to people before they become addicted, and you teach them better. You show them families that don't have families because of what's happened and what they've gotten into. The sheriff will tell you, you see increases in crime with these people. They're out trying to get anything they can to sell for a little bit of money to get their medicine, get their dough. And it's just a matter of, we need to address this at a much bigger level than here. But it doesn't make it any less important what we go through here. Yeah, I treat people a lot of times, and if I can keep them charging them, I won't charge them. I work for somebody else now, so I have to. But there's been times over many years that I've seen very good people that couldn't afford things. And, I had one patient that did everything right. He lost weight, his cholesterol got under control, his sugar's under control, but he couldn't afford a stress test or a catheterization. And 6 months into my treating him for that, and me addressing it every time I saw him, he said, I just can't afford it, and I want you to quit bothering me about it. The next day, he died of an MI. And no matter how much we try, no matter how much we care, if they don't have the money to do it, or if we don't have the money to do it, we're in that situation. And it's a shame. It really is. But I don't know, like I said, if we had the money, we would do a much better job of what we do than what we do. It's just like, I'm sure you need somebody to help you with it. And, it's just a matter of getting to the point where we can't afford it. And we just can't. I mean, there's like I told the sheriff, like we talked about before you got here, we have a suit against the pharmaceutical companies and the West Virginia Board of Pharmacy concerning the opiates. And I don't know how that's going to turn out, but I've told the sheriff, if anything happens and we do wind up on the better end of that, his office is going to get some of that money to do what we're talking about. I mean, this is not, and I don't care to say it in public. That's what will happen. We don't. It bothers me that I can't give him what he understands, because I understand the importance of the job he does, and I understand the importance of your job, and I understand the importance of all those people that try to help these people. But we need money, and we just don't have it. But I do appreciate your comments, and you're welcome back anytime. I mean, this is not. This is something we all have to try to figure out. With little bits of money here and there, we may be able to do something about it. But right now, we don't even have little bits of money. Our monies are severely limited in what we can do and can't do. So, and I'm sure the other two commissioners feel the same about it as I do. I just talk more than they do. So, but I do appreciate you coming in, and I do appreciate your concerns, and I do appreciate the concerns of the sheriff's department. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if nothing else, we'll go ahead. We have a request on discussion, concern, possible action. The Solid Waste Authority requested the commission to pay for one member to attend the 2017 West Virginia Educational Conference on Litter Control and Solid Waste Management, a total cost of $407. Does the commission have any thoughts about that?
Is this, we've done this before? Yeah, it's the
Is this a certification process or anything? Or-
Yeah, they get a, Doris won, remember last year, I don't remember, she won
Is
a
that
free
who's doing
trip.
this now?
No, this is for our appointee, Bill Bryant, the one that the commission appoints on,
Okay.
so. Is that to get a certification? Yeah, they get, I don't know if it, wouldn't necessarily say.
Where's it at?
It's a Blackstone.
Yeah, quite stiff.
What is it? What do the commission want to do with this? Do we know when this is?
October 22nd through the 24th.
Okay,
Why don't we hold off on
well, I'll accept a motion to table this to the next meeting, if that's okay.
I'll make the table.
All in favor, say aye. Okay, so we'll table this, put it on the next agenda. Okay, we have an opening on the Lincoln County Board of Health. We've received two applications. One, do I have a motion to?
Is there two positions open on that?
No, just one
No, just
position.
One, and
Yeah.
Excuse me, did you say the Board of Health?
Yeah.
Mary, didn't I apply for that too?
I don't remember, Lisa, did you?
I think I did,
I don't know if you did during the time frame.
it's been months ago.
Yeah, we just ran the ad on the website, just Sharon just resigned.
You said you would take it and keep it for the next time.
It's hard to keep track of all those if it's not during the time frame
Do you
though.
remember what she's saying?
Yes, she gave an application. I don't remember if it said board.
I just
I
gonna,
think you gave it, yeah. I just don't remember what you wrote, which board it was, but that's just because I can't remember at the moment. I mean, it's not Board of Health.
was it, we don't know if it was within the time period of that it was,
No,
being
it was
advertised?
before. No, but there wasn't any openings when she put it in.
Right, but you said that's okay, you would keep it if there was an opening.
Well, in the future, from now on, it has to be done within the time period that it's advertised, but I'm gonna go ahead and add her name to this because of that.
No big deal.
And I'm not directing that at you, I'm just telling anybody, you know, that it has to be done within that period of time. So do I have a motion to appoint one of the three that you see before you?
I'm moving between Dr. Smith.
Is there a second?
He was a director up there for a while and has been on that for, I think he's, I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We'll notify Lauren, he's on the Board of Health. Okay, we've already clarified the 240 hours that Daryl's requesting is for the October, is it October or was it, how that goes on October 7th? And that's reimbursed to us, so,
And that's an estimate. I mean, it may not be 240, it may be 240, but.
okay.
Yeah, maybe.
And the only other question was brought up was the sheriff's request for overtime request for 10 months for the month of August.
10 hours.
10 hours, I'm sorry, for the month of August. And
Is that all you need, Sheriff?
Did you spend those funds? Did somebody take off during that period of time?
Yeah, we spent those funds, the 10 hours.
Janet told me you didn't today.
For the August,
Uh-huh.
yeah, it should be, I'm not sure how the paper, Anthony should have.
She said it was for the Click It or Ticket program that you get reimbursed for.
Okay.
Was
Yeah,
that
You get those
Oh,
months.
yeah, that's something else separate time.
Right, she said you didn't have any, I mean, I just asked her today, so I don't, but she said you didn't have any overtime during the month of August, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the 15 hours I'm asking for in September.
Bid for September.
Yeah. So
Right,
if I didn't
so
spend
I'm gonna make that adjustment, approve the overtime request for the month of September for 15 hours by Sheriff Linville.
Is that all you need? You want 15?
I would prefer, I mean, I think 5 hours a week, it's difficult to say, but I think really 5 hours a week would, you know, whether we spend it or not, like last month, we didn't spend any, but I think that would cushion me to where I don't go over.
What we have to do is though, we wanna make sure, you know, like we went over with the policy as far as when to apply and things like that. We wanna make sure as far as what you consider that you're gonna have to have and then approve it so you can do that, like this is September.
Right.
You have to do that, so what I would suggest, and anything that you wanna change has to come to us in writing.
Gotcha.
You know, we can't just do it here. But if you feel like for the next month you need more than that,
Yeah.
then you can write us and tell us why you would do that, okay?
That'll work.
But is that all right, the commission, I'm gonna go ahead and approve, this is the motion to approve the overtime request for the month of September of 15 hours submitted by Gary Linville, Sheriff. Okay, now, is there anything, any other corrections or anything you all see on the new business?
No, I went through it.
You
Looks
okay?
good.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the new business as presented with the changes as noted?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Okay, new business is passed. Okay, we're in open discussion. Mr. Matthews, do you have anything?
T-Mobile's working on towers. We've got 3 towers that are going to be built.
We're at.
Possibly 4. We're going to have a tower in, hold on, close to Branchland, down to where you'll have one in Harts, and you're going to have one in Ranger. I would say in the Ranger area. You can't really, I mean, they have a geographic location, and they're seeking, you know, they're looking at particular sites on where they're going to build.
What kind of towers?
These are cell phone towers.
And that's T-Mobile, right?
Yes.
Are they gonna be the only carrier to use
T-Mobile,
those towers?
T-Mobile, they are the carrier they're building the towers.
Yeah. But will
Okay.
all networks utilize the tower?
That will be up to T-Mobile. Yeah, I mean, you follow me there?
Yeah.
they're going to be, they're locating on other towers in the county, and, there should be good service in just about every area.
You know, we should, we're hoping with this, and we're talking about what, next year?
This should be finished by the end of 2018. And we're also, we've been in contact with them about putting a tower from under the dam.
Oh,
So- So the total coverage,
Putting one of them up, KK?
excuse me,
What's the cost of putting one of them up?
well, it depends on the
Reason I
tower.
asked, we used to build it.
Well, it depends on how high the tower is. And I think that what they're looking at is they're looking at maybe a 250-foot tower for those particular sites. They're trying to get by with, you know, as little as possible, of course, because it's a company.
We built them 375 foot and we couldn't even get a signal.
Well, the thing about it is like, they're, you know,
Wasted money.
well, they're pretty confident if they're building towers, they're gonna get a signal. They've already showed, I've already have a,
What kind of signal, bud?
huh?
What kind of signal?
Well, they're.
Well, I can tell you, it's gonna be, it's gonna run through mid-band. It's gonna be a 1200 megahertz signal, which is mid-band, and they're also gonna be running on low band. So the mid-band is what you're gonna be using, like if you're doing data transfer, like if you're downloading videos or whatever. And this new signal is they bought like 600 megahertz band off the TV providers whenever they went digital. They bought that for $7.9 billion nationwide. So what happens is whenever they put those towers up, you're going to be running on a low band and a mid band frequency. The propagation study for what they've done is, from what I've seen, just with mid band, that's with sending data, you'll have nonstop coverage all the way through your major highway. As far as the roads, Route 10 all the way down through Harts, all the way down through Chapmanville. And
You can't beat that deal.
no, I'm just telling you, I've worked hard on this, and I'm telling you, you're gonna have nonstop coverage down through Alcohol. You're gonna be able to go from Madison, and you'll be able to drive from Madison, not through Chapmanville, but you go all the way back through Harts to Chapmanville, back to Madison, and you're gonna have nonstop coverage. They'll probably, with what I've seen, they're probably gonna be the #1 carrier in West Virginia.
That's good.
And not just West Virginia, but Minnesota. I think they're doing Minnesota and Wisconsin.
And they're a little nebulous about location of tower sites because of buying the sites and things, things like that.
Yeah.
But the one that I know of is very close to Mr. Lovejoy out there, so.
Well, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and that particular tower is they've already checked the site out and things, and it would have communications with the Hamlin Tower and the Salt Rock Tower and the Harts Tower that's up there now. So I'm thinking if this does the way they say it's gonna do, it's gonna give all of Route 10 coverage, and this low band we're talking about can go into hollers better than the bands they have now and stuff. So it should potentially even go up through like Francis Creek, Big Harts Creek, and things like that. So, but I do know with what KK's done, I've looked at those maps he's talking about, coverage maps, and all the main routes should have cell coverage, and plus broadband on a lot of that. So, the problem we've had all along is getting people to locate on the tower, like the one we have at Harts, we didn't have nobody to locate on it.
Right.
This takes that out of the equation. These people are willing to put their money into it and set it up, and that's why I tell everybody, I have AT&T now, and things like that.
Yeah.
But people, if T-Mobile's coming into Lincoln County to help our Lincoln County citizens, I'm gonna switch to T-Mobile. That's just, we help those who help us.
Right.
And if I fully expect, and I don't like to promise anything, so I'm not promising anything, but from what I can see with what KK's found out of when talking with the other people involved with it, this is a real deal, and even giving us a date to the end of next year, kind of tells us that they're sincere about doing this.
I'll promise you call me a liar. I will promise you it's coming, you call me a liar. I've talked to them, and I run ragged with it.
Mark.
Can I ask a question? How come y'all don't work that hard on water for us? Now listen, see how he's been going, I've been going this as long as longer than he has for water. Look, he's already got his, and So look at us still, don't got no water, and still ain't gonna get it till next year.
It's
You
going
know,
to be
Barb,
next
one of-
week,
One
Barb.
of, one of the things, Barb, is, you know, we were talking about how long we worked on getting you water. I've been on the commission now 17 years, and I still have patients come in that asked me 12 years ago, 14 years ago for
Yeah,
water,
but
so-
we've been trying for 20 years, and ours has been twice, and it's been canceled, there's no reason we shouldn't have water.
You're going to get
Somebody
it.
should have worked on that.
You have it.
Big give free water.
Can I say one thing just so Lisa doesn't get mad at me? You couldn't have been on the Board of Health anyway because it has to be out of District 1 or 3.
Well,
They
it
have
didn't
2 in the
matter. I just
2.
knew I put an extra.
All right, just
I-
making
I-
sure
I
that,
didn't-
they already have 2 covering that. and you
I really
couldn't-
wasn't expecting to put on that,
Well, I'm just gonna let you know though, that you recommend.
Okay, I don't understand, bands, but is it gonna be 4G?
You know, I don't know. I mean, I couldn't answer that as far as 3G, 4G, 2G. I couldn't tell you that. I can tell you what frequency it's gonna operate on. That's what I know.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, the problem that we've had is like you can't go from Samarico Mountain to Hamlin and make phone calls.
Can't go anywhere.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
I mean, you're gonna be able to do that, and you're gonna be able to, run data. I mean, that's what I do know, and I know that, T-Mobile is like signed a contract with Netflix, so maybe you can watch Netflix or something. I don't know, I mean, that's just, here's the thing, it's something.
And the fire department
You know-
will be able to actually use their call-outs and things for
Well-
those towers, right? Will
Well, I
that
mean,
be-
if they're calling on something,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
Who's building the towers, KK?
A company called Towerco,
Who?
a company called Towerco,
Where they from?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it could be, I don't know if it's Kentucky, I don't know if it's,
People in West Virginia build ours, Parrott County. They might get them built cheaper.
well, maybe so. But I mean,
I'm
that's,
sure they would look into it, since it's not our money,
that's who they go
Keep the money in
through.
the state.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, that's who they go through, and, that's,
This is
talked
a
to him about-
nationwide push, and not just us, it's a
Well,
nationwide push.
but I mean, as far as, we've talked to him about, us building the towers, you know what I'm saying? Because we can use in-state contracts, and, they didn't really want to do that, so,
They don't wanna do it.
you get what you can get.
Good luck.
Well,
it'll be better than what we've got.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Nothing.
listen,
One of my kids get a seat and don't sit down the bed.
Commissioner Harless doesn't have anything. I don't really have anything other than I appreciate you guys coming and voicing your concerns, and like I said, as soon as we can address some of them, we will, but I appreciate it. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn to September 21st at 6 o'clock.
So moved.
So second, all right, we stand adjourned, guys, thank you.
Paul, come over here, I'll help. I talked directly to the prosecuting attorney, and he said that, we called Kenny Richmond, she doesn't want anything to do with it. So you were just under new business, the motion was approved, your petition's approved. Sure, have some order. Yeah, no. I should have waited, I should have caught your attention, sorry, but yeah. Jackie said they didn't need, didn't do anything. I think I went to sign that. We called the Kenny Richmond, she doesn't want anything to do with it. All that one worked out. Well, KK's out already, is it all right if we only have two?
That's just fine, over, it's just, can you see the copy back tomorrow?
Yeah, sure will. I'll wait, I'll get him to sign it.
Thank you. It's pretty important, we finally get something done next day.